Hello, Topaz user Andrew. You asked about placing a vignette and how to do it. Pretty simple method is to use an adjustment vignette, and then there's a complex method that's more customized. So go to adjustment vignette, and there's your controls for vignette as well as the vignette center. So here where the subject may be off to one side, you may want to shift your vignette around. The strength slider is the amount of vignette. If you turn it all the way up, then you can adjust the size and maybe position that over even a little more. And then the transition is the feathering of this effect. So you can have none, looks like a TV screen, or you can have 100% or 1, which is a gradual fade. If we keep it all the way down and we look at the roundness, we can have basically a rectangle or an oval. So you have a number of controls that can help you customize your vignette, as well as choosing whether you want a black vignette or any other color, such as a white vignette, like you might put on a postcard. Although edges I find kind of better for that. So that's vignette in a nutshell. So once you have your roundness and transition and size, you can adjust your strength to your taste. This photo I think already had some vignette on it, so I don't want to put much more on, but there you go. So that's the easy peasy method. If we reset our photograph and we want to be more complex with this, what I would do is add a color layer. And again, if we're going dark, and you don't have to stick with black, you could use anything darker than mid-gray or even a color. And what I would do is keep the opacity low so you can see through, and then get a mask on that. So this little plus sign in the circle icon is your mask. And right now it's letting 100% of the mask show through, because white reveals whatever we're trying to do to this layer and black will conceal it. So if I inverted this, you would see none of that black overlay on it, and here is with 100%. So an easy method to achieve kind of the same thing as before is to take the spot and customize it to your window and decide how much feathering at all you want and whether or not you want it to be edge aware. So edge aware is going to run up against things like the rocks versus the water, and not apply in those areas, or apply in those areas and not on the water. So the transition shrinks the difference between 100% black and 100% white, and vice versa. And then the roundness we've talked about before. But we can get even more complex than that. Some images do call for more of a custom vignette, and so what we might say is grab a brush and mask out just where you really don't want any of that vignette to show. Right now it's an edge-aware brush, so we're getting some nice effects there. And if we want this tail out with the back eddies in it to show, we can keep that, whereas a usual vignette will kind of restrict us to an oval or square, rectangular, whatever image. This can give us a very customized vignette. And of course, if we want to make it a more gradual transition, we can add a feathering to that mask so that you don't have any sharp transition, just like so. So I often do have to use a custom mask like this. And you can see the difference before and after getting a custom vignette mask like this is basically like dodging and burning. We're burning everything that's white in the mask area and preserving what was in the black area, because black conceals the color overlay of black that we're using and white reveals it. So if we took this opacity all the way up, you can see that we're preserving all the stream area and only applying the burning to the vegetation and rocks. And the difference of blend modes is something you should explore and use.